Imagine, for a moment, a child who was born into a room with no sound. They grow up, as all children do, and they are driven by curiosity. They see this wondrous act of playing an instrument in clips online and read about some unknowable quality, the timbre of a voice. They become so curious, it leads them to know every physical fact there is about this experience that eludes them. Music. They become a scientist, learning all the different ways frequencies and amplitudes and patterns ripple like waves in the sea of air. Now those sound waves, they crash in the inner ears, eventually stimulating membranes in the cochlea, whose hair cells convert this motion into electrical signals, and they travel at great speeds to the thalamus, which relays then this phenomenal message to the temporal lobe, whose last stop, the primary auditory cortex, are eventually home and ready to be consciously experienced. And one day, those doors to the soundless room open. And on the other side, music begins to play. Does this person have knowledge now they could not have possessed before? This is my take on F.C. Jackson's knowledge argument of qualia. Qualia is this internal, felt, subjective experience. It arises from the stimulation of the senses by various phenomena. It is irrevocable. It is undoubtable. The amazing thing is that once this experience is acquired, it can be multiplied out. You can imagine a strawberry that is purple, or sad, or silky. It has this wondrous open-endedness. Perhaps this is some clue to the neurobiological basis of why art exists. While it is impossible for one to fully impart the sound of a cello to someone who has never experienced it, one can paint a picture. Think of indigos and violence swirling strong, like Van Gogh's Starry Night. One can expound with words the deep, longing sighs the instrument makes as vibrations pulse in the base of the gut. One can cook up a dish of how it tastes earthy, yet smooth, with a smoldering cinnamon-like spice. Or at least that's my experience of it. Chromesthesia is a form of synesthesia where sound involuntarily evokes experiences of color, shape, and movement. Now, this experience can be further subdivided into individuals who are projector synesthetic, those who perceive the concurrent photisms in external space, and those who are associate synesthetic, those who perceive the concurrent photisms in their mind. There are two main theories on why this arises: the hyperconnectivity theory and the disinhibited feedback model. The hyperconnectivity theory takes evidence from functional magnetic resonance imaging and transcranial magnetic stimulation, showing that real and synesthetic information tend to be in nearby brain regions. In the case of chromesthesia, V4, an area in the brain for visual processing, can be seen firing immediately after auditory perception, Interestingly, those individuals who are projectors have their cross activations in the fusiform gyrus, an area in the brain linked with recognition, while associators may be cross-activating in the angular gyrus, an area of the brain involving language and number processing, memory, and reasoning. The disinhibited feedback model takes a different vantage point. That cross-activation is due to the decrease of inhibition of the networks in the brain. Consider that in every brain, there are cross-connections where excitation and inhibition play and feedback connections avoid synesthetic induction. There is some credence to the concept, as most synesthesia is not acquirable, but damage to the retinocortical pathway may induce chromesthesia. There are also new concepts and theories on the horizon. Chromesthesia may not be a purely perceptual phenomenon. The role of conception and meaning itself make a case for something beyond a single mechanism. Ideesthesia offers a slightly different view, as a neurophysiological phenomenon in which activations of concepts evoke perception-like sensory experiences. In 2021, a study supports synesthesia as a semantic phenomenon. By using magnetoencephalography, synesthetic colors are available in signals around 200 milliseconds after a stimulus. That's consistent with conceptual meditation. I find synesthesia to be a superpower, a beautiful way to experience the world, and a way to communicate something a bit more. For now, let's turn to Alexander Nikolaevich Scriabin, a Russian composer-pianist and likely but unconfirmed chromesthete. Scriabin found the binding of color and sound so strong that it could be, quote, a powerful psychological resonator for the listener. Scriabin would go on to develop a clavier à lumière, or a keyboard with lights, illuminating the sound-to-color associations. C, the color of red. D, the color yellow. F sharp, a bright blue. A flat, a purple violet. I wonder if you can see the picture he's painting with sound in his Vivace in C major. My name is Alante Barakat, and this has been an episode of Across the Cleft.